I'm here with Roman. Roman, nice to meet you first of all, and thanks for being here.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you and I connected over, like a brief exchange, and I was really fascinated by the story you told me. And it all started with, I guess, reading your blog and with something that happened to you when you were 10 years old. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so during my childhood, when I was 10 years old, I got diagnosed by rheumatoid arthritis. For the people that don't know this, this is an autoimmune disease that inflames your joints and it pretty much like destroys your mobility. And this disease got progressively worse, and the worst it got was in university, where when I cannot really walk without a cane, a walking stick, and then like I was a bed bound for a long time. And this disease, uh, officially there is no cure for this
Yeah.
disease. They say there is like only a remission, and I was like 10 years under the conventional medicine, and like in conventional medicine you will get only the medicaments that only helps you with the pain and lower the inflammation, but it's not addressing the core issue of the disease. So I embarked on a journey to really find the reason why am I sick, and I went through myriad of alternative treatments. Mostly, like I'm from Central Europe, so there I started. I tried a lot of diet ways, like uh, vegetarian, vegan, raw vegan, strict carnivore, everything. But I was not able to really get like a big relief. The biggest relief I got on a strict carnivore, where I was eating just beef, salt, and water for 11 months. Yeah, and it was like it helped, but it also like this was just like a band-aid, I would say, because like when I would switch to other foods, all of the pain would come back.
Right, but tell me more about before we go into the alternative, what was the official treatment from so-called Western medicine? What did they put you on to treat the pain?
Well, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, first
Yeah.
of all.
Uh-huh.
Then sulfasalazine and methotrexate, which is like a official treatment. Like methotrexate is like a special medicine that is used for even in chemotherapy.
Wow.
But I was using it in lower doses. And like there are also uh, other medicaments. It depends like where are you located, because like what I heard, like in United States they use a little bit different
Wow.
medicaments, the active substances. But it's not like it's just like to hold the progress of the disease
Right.
and
So,
to lower the inflammation and pain. This is not like uh, really addressing the root cause. And the doctor just say like, I asked them when I was younger, like when I will be cured, and they said like, yeah, you just need to learn to live with it.
yeah, just deal with it and
Yeah,
defeat.
and like when you tell this to the like 10-year-old kid, like
Yeah.
like my brain was not fully developed. I was not really understanding the weight of this issue, but I started to understand when I was getting much older. And like from the progression of the disease, I thought that I will be dead by 30 or by 35.
Well, then how did that feel when you were just a teenager? Because you said in your blog that at the beginning you didn't fully grasp it, and then till you
Yes.
grow, you walking with.
Well, first you just like live with it. Like it started progressively, like in my toes, in the legs, and like when it hurts only a bit, it's not that problematic. You can like forget about it. But when it started to really inflame all of my big joints, like that was started to be really limiting, because like when I was in the very bad state, like to turn in my bed from one side to another. That was a heroic feat, and like to go on the toilet, yes, it was like I had to like mentally prepare for it, like for 30 minutes to really like get through the pain and go to the toilet.
And that's, like that's while you're a teenager already. That
It,
level.
when I was a teenager, like it was more or less all right, but it got really worse in university years.
See.
Because,
Okay.
lot of stress from the university, everything.
And what were, at that point, were you in a wheelchair or what, like
Yeah, I
what
was needed a walking stick.
walking stick?
Like I needed a wheelchair when I was traveling.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
I guess by reading your, like your blog, I saw that at some point you were always curious about knowledge and encyclopedia, and you started, I guess, Googling and finding information on the web. What led you to, an alternative path, after trying diet?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I always wanted to know how the world works. So
Yeah.
that's why I always like was consuming a lot of encyclopedia and like documentaries and everything. And I wanted to like really see the whole world. And once I got to a certain page with meditations and stuff like this, and there was this uh, tutorial how to achieve lucid dreaming. I'm not sure
Mm.
if you're familiar. Yeah.
I know about lucid dreaming, but I never tried the act of it, and it feels like unattainable to me. But reading that reading your story, I was like actually curious. So how did you?
So, like I was really skeptical, but I told myself like, let's try it for 1 month, and let's see like if that will work or not. So there was so-called reality check when you need to like few times during the day look at your palms and ask yourself like if you're really dreaming. It's the goal is to create a habit and eventually do it in the dream. So I
Mm.
tried it for 1 month and it didn't work. So I said like, okay, so that's not true. So I forget about it. And after a second month, I did it in my dream and I
Without
achieved.
practicing on that day, you forgot that that was a thing, and then it
Yeah.
just.
And all of a sudden, one night, I did it in the dream, and that really like opened my mind to the universe and like because like before that I always was like anchored in the so-called vulgar materialism paradigm, but
Yeah.
this like opened my mind to the notion that the universe is maybe bigger than we think. So when this is what like really opened me to look for alternative ways to heal
Mhm.
myself.
Yeah.
And also like when I was in the university, the one of the side effects of these non-steroidal anti-inflammatories is gastritis because it burns your stomach like really strongly. And what I was suffering from this from very strong gastritis, and I needed to have some pain medication.
Mhm.
But this was like trading pain for pain. So I
Yeah.
needed to like look at alternatives, and like in the university years, I was able to find some medical marijuana,
Mhm.
and like I started to smoke that, and I combine it with meditations, which really like helped me with the pain, and I eventually uh, got my hands on so-called magic mushrooms. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if you, yeah.
Yeah.
So like before that, like I was in this environment where everybody would say you like drugs are bad, it will destroy your life. So I was like uh, really cautious about it. But I found like a lot of white papers about this topic, about these two substances, and eventually I told myself like, okay, I will try it. Maybe I will die, but at least it will solve some of my problems.
Mhm.
So
So tell me
I'm
about your first mushroom experience. What was that like?
So it was like very interesting, like first time, and I combined it with meditation techniques. And the next day, my pain was gone around like 30-40%, and I was like not understanding what really happened, and I told myself like these are the drugs that are supposed to kill me.
Yeah.
So I started to like really research this idea and like this alternative uh, healing path,
Mm.
and this led me to discovery of so-called Amazonian curanderismo in South America.
Mm. And how did you find the courage to just, like leave your, like the comfort of potential so-called proven paths and just go into the
Yeah,
South?
because you know, like when nothing works in the so-called proven path,
Yeah.
then you just need to look into, unproven paths, even though like everybody will say to you, like that's not true, like don't believe that. Because like I was really suffering because chronic pain is really draining you mentally. And there
Mhm.
was like when you know that the disease will only get progressively worse, like this will not help your mind state.
Yeah. And I read in the article where you talk about yourself that you were kind of taken advantage of at the beginning. You were looking for experiences and
Yes,
then you
yes. So
understood the difference between healers and shamans. Can you tell me more about that world and how did you get
yeah,
in?
so first of all, I went there with a group of Europeans. It was more like not just like a healing retreat, but more like discovery, and then like discovery of Peru
Right.
and some of these like sessions, psychedelic sessions
Hmm.
uh, weaved in. So there I achieved like a really good improvement in my health. So that's why I told myself that okay, like this way works, or this way gave me the best results so far. So I need to like learn Spanish and get some individual approach. So I contacted the healers that were on the retreat. But yeah, as you said, like I had a little bit of problems with them because like when they saw like unexperienced guy, they were like going for the money and not really helping me. Uh, because the most problematic thing about this tradition is that there is no regulation, and
Hmm.
there cannot be a regulation because like these skills that the healer possess or healers possess, then they cannot be quantified as you would say in conventional medicine. So you can see a good healer only by like really like developing your, I would say, like empathic abilities or even like clairvoyance abilities, and to like really see what his power is or her power is. Because like this kind of work is like fully on energetic basis, and everything or like most of the work is done in so-called these occult realms or like the dream states.
Mm. Before we get into the specifics, can you help if anyone is listening to this, what is an experience with a healer like? Some people may not have done any of that or may not be familiar with ayahuasca or psychedelics. How does that work? Someone that right.
Yeah, well, a lot of people I would say are familiar with ayahuasca, but let's explain it a bit more. Like ayahuasca is a plant medicine, is a brew from two plants,
Mhm.
Psychotria viridis and Banisteriopsis capi. Those are two plants that have active compounds DMT and MAO inhibitors. That these MAO inhibitors activate the DMT, so it can be ingested through stomach. Otherwise, the stomach juices would deactivate the DMT, and DMT is like one of the most potent psychedelics, which are also produced naturally within the brain, and we have the biggest spikes of DMT when we are born and when we are dying. So
Mm.
let's say the healers are saying that the DMT is so-called like a key or the connection to the spiritual realms.
Right. And
Uh-huh.
the go on, sorry.
And yeah, and the main thing that heals is so-called like master plan diet, where uh, the the patient drinks the plant, or there are like multiple forms of distribution on the body, and then follow certain restrictions, dietary and social restrictions, in order to keep uh, the patient energetic state clean. So, in order for the plant to really penetrate his body, and not just physically, but mostly energetically, because like our body is uh, not just meat and bones. Like there is a bigger part that is more energetic or like quantum based,
Mm,
which where the energy and information is stored, and the plant is mostly work, and the whole this whole Amazonian coronarismo is where is the work based.
right. So what was your first experience with these substances and with healers like?
Yeah, well, first of all, like I would like to go back to this, like when I had bad experience with these
Mm,
healers. Like there was one person that was giving me a taxi ride, and he told me that he knows like a very good healer,
okay.
and like he would introduce me, because like he saw that my intentions were honest, that I came there to find a healing, and like he saw that the people that were curing me was not really like taking it responsibly.
Mm,
So then I found a healer that I would say, like after my experiences with him, I realized that he's one of the best persons for the job, because
mm-hmm,
his expertise is like really extensive. He has like more than 20 years experience of healing patients.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, there I started. I told him that I don't want to just heal myself, but I want to learn to do this craft, because I knew that my disease was like really progressed and really deep within my body. So I wanted to like really find the solution and really see the solution, because like when you just heal yourself, like okay, it will help you, but I wanted to really like find the cause and see it for myself and heal myself, to get like responsibility of myself, of my health.
mm-hmm. So what happened after that experience with the proper healer? And
Yeah,
you,
so I started with this so-called master plan diet, which was like 3 months. First diet was 3 months with plant called Chiricsanango, which is this plant is directly used for healing arthritis.
okay.
And during that time, I was not able to eat salt, to eat sugar, to eat any kind of oils. I was pretty much restricted to one type of fish, rice, potatoes, chicken, and oats, nothing else, and water.
Mm,
And during the time, I was not able to clip my nails, not able to cut my hair for three
wow,
months. Yes. And like I started with this healer when the pandemic started, right when the pandemic started. And I was
isolate.
enclosed in one room for 3 months. Actually, like I went there with visa for 5 months, but the pandemic was blessing for me. I was able to stay there for 10 months.
Okay. What, just out of curiosity, why the nails and the hair? What's the principle behind it, if you know?
Well, this was a learning diet also, because like there are two types, like healing and learning diet.
Okay.
And to be able to really, uh, how to say, absorb all the energy that is being created within you, you cannot lose parts of your body.
Okay. So after, what were the impacts to your health after this
Yeah,
learning
well,
diet? After,
to be honest, after 3 months, like I did not feel anything like any big change. But I stayed there like after I started to get real relief after 4.5 months. And
Right.
then I started to see that all of a sudden, all of the pain was going away and I could walk. And, like I started to like forget about movements because like when you're in pain, you feel every movement.
Yeah.
You had like a lot of brain fog because the inflammation, like, uh, it affects your energy levels.
Yeah. And a lot of your attention goes towards avoiding the pain, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And like I started to feel like okay, like I'm getting much better. And you know what is the real cause of this disease, which is like it was like really funny for me. Like
Yeah.
it's it's called energy. It's
Mm.
called like my body when I was born. I'm not sure like if it's in my DNA, but like I'm not very resistant to cold. And it
Right.
gets like penetrated my body, and when the cold goes to the joints, like they start to inflame.
Okay.
So the whole purpose was to get rid of the cold energy. And I was during the diet when I started to get better, I was getting plant vapors, where you boil water with plants, and then you are within this vapor. And it
Hmm.
when it started to penetrate me, I started to feel really really well. And like right now, after the years of treatment, like I'm totally without pain. Like I'm like a healthy person.
Have you been without pain since 2020, so for more than 4 years?
There were things like when I came back to my country
Yeah.
during winter, like it started to come back. So
Oh,
that's why I moved to Peru right now, and I'm living ordinary life, and
oh,
I'm like helping with the in the ayahuasca retreat center.
huh?
To be honest, like this healer was one of, I would say, like from my experience and what I saw in his work and what I saw the patients that came here in like very bad state and went away totally healed. Like
Mm.
I would say like he's one of the best healers in the whole South American continent. And he was not wanting to really work with so-called gringos or people from first world, but he said that like I was the person that really changed his mind. That not all of the because he thought that all of these people that come to South America to try ayahuasca, they just wanted for experience and
Yeah.
to brag about it to their friends, like how many drugs they were able to experience.
Yeah. Which is very, very much against the philosophy behind it. Do
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have to repeat that experience on a regular basis, or are you now what you would define yourself as a healthy person without having to go through, let's say, ayahuasca or other?
Yeah, I would say like right now, I would define myself as a healthy person.
Yeah.
The climate here is tropical. Like right now, I'm not using anything, any plants. The only things like well, I'm working as a helper healer in the retreat center that the healer created. So there are like a lot of people right now from Germany that come there and like solve their medical problems. I'm helping with the translations also, and yeah, like I'm living pretty much a good life. Like I would be dead by now if I would not have this experience. Like if I would not go through this healing process.
And I'm curious, have you gone back when you gone back to your country? Have you gone back to some of the doctors to hear their take on your healing journey?
I haven't been. I haven't been because like there is no point. Like they would say to me like that's a miracle.
Okay.
Like I don't understand. Like I'm planning to speak to my general practitioner
Uh-huh.
because she helped me a lot when I was like struggling with the disease. So yeah, I'm planning to talk to her, but like there is this. I'm not sure if how's uh, the English word. I think blood sedimentation levels, which is like
Yep.
an inflammation marker. So
Mhm.
like if I will not have inflammation within my body, I don't feel inflamed, so of
Mm.
course it will be like what is most important to me is that I can have ordinary life, that I can do exercises and
Yeah.
live pretty much as a healthy person.
Yeah, I asked that question because I'm wondering about how much of that these two worlds should interact for the benefit of other people with a similar condition, you know? And as long as
Mhm.
Western medicine believes that these are miracles and more traditional medicine doesn't interact with it, there would be a lot of people that wouldn't maybe think of doing what you've done to cure themselves and they're out and they simply accept their fate in a way.
Well, I have created a website, a
Yeah,
blog,
it's trail.
yeah, Healer's Trail, and even the YouTube when I'm trying to talk about my experiences and more like help the other people. Like I have even the channel in Slovakian language where I'm like trying to talk about my story. Like even this podcast is about that. Like if someone is like really suffering, then I would say like if the conventional medicine will not help you, then like this path is the right thing for you. The best because this is not the magic bullet.
Yeah,
And like for example, if you have acute infection, then this tradition will not help you, right?
yeah.
The best is to have conventional medicine, or like if you have rotten teeth or like something broken, acute things, the conventional medicine is the best for it. But if you have like chronic diseases or addictions or traumas, then the Amazonic Quaresma is one of the best. By coincidence, my Spanish teacher in Czech Republic did his PhD thesis in Peru also in one of the retreat centers where they were specializing in healing very strong addictions like cocaine and heroin addictions.
Hmm.
And from what he found is that conventional treatment of addictions have success rate of 5%. Okay, that's the official success rate. And this Amazonian healership tradition has success rate of 40%,
Mm,
which is very very good measurement. And it's 40% because this is something where the active participation of the patient is required, mostly work with his mental state,
yeah.
because when someone doesn't want to be cured, then it will not be cured by this
Mm.
tradition.
Have you watched the documentary called Those, Trip of a Lifetime?
I think not.
Okay. They talk about this topic when there's a heroin addict. I believe she lives in a big city, whether it's Los Angeles or somewhere like that. And they go through mushrooms, ayahuasca, and also another substance. I think it's called iboga or something similar.
Yes, yes, it's an African plant.
And she's then become through a result, according to the documentary. And again, I'm not a doctor or a health expert, so I wouldn't recommend any of this to anyone from my experience. But seeing the documentary was really powerful to see how he became pretty much clean and started becoming an advocate for a different
Mhm.
path through a similar journey to what you've gone through.
And did she went through this like through like a therapist or like a person that was trained in these arts?
Yeah, there were multiple people, high profile people involved. You know, so if you look at the documentary, there are a lot of people from Rick Dublin of the MAPS Association that is pressing for change in legislation in the US towards an acceptance of psychedelics as a treatment. Gabor Mate and a few other people, plus there were
Okay.
doctors, um, one person expert in ayahuasca ceremonies, I don't remember his name, and a few others, but mostly therapists, traditional doctors, and one or two people expert in more more of these alternative medicines, let's call it that
I
way.
would like to put out a disclaimer for this that yes, we are talking about these substances, but like people should not try them alone.
course.
because yeah, there needs to be like a trained sitter present, or even like the healer that is trained in these arts, because like these plants can open you certain kind of traumas that are within you, and when you are not able to process them by yourself, and you start to get lost in the negative emotions,
Yeah.
you can get this trauma even more profound. So
Right.
because like they open you energetically, it's like a operation.
Yeah.
And like when there is like not a kirk present, like you can get hurt.
Yeah.
So
I remember there was someone in a book talking about that, saying we'll make sure that the rocket is aimed towards the space and not towards the ground. So
yeah,
that
exactly.
expression. Roman, I want to ask you one last question. So what's next in your journey? Are you on path to become a healer yourself, or are you maybe curious about this? Like what are you focusing on?
Yeah, I'm like right now I'm focusing to get better, to be a better healer,
Mhm.
because like I got a second opportunity in life, and I would like to like really help others. Like my path, what I would like to achieve is to get like enough of abundance to be able to heal for free. That
Right.
like people, mostly kids, because like when I started to be sick when I was a kid, and like kids don't have money, and they don't even know like how to like what to do with their lives. So like if I would be able to like really cure people for free,
Okay.
then that would be the best choice. But right now I'm helping in the center with with the translations, with the integrations. Like when the patients need guidance, then I'm like really there to help. And like during the ceremonies, like when someone needs to go to the toilet, I'll help him. Like pretty like normal work for a ayahuasca ceremony facilitator.
I see. Okay. Well, Roman, it's been a pleasure to speak with you, and I want to wish you the best of luck in becoming a healer and staying pain free.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking with you.